The next morning at the camp, Clark sits in front of Wells' grave mourning his death. Finn is scared for her safety, so he asks her to go inside the wall that they have built around the camp. They believe that Wells was killed by the Grounders. Clark, in turn, asks Finn to be careful, knowing that he was roaming around the woods at night. Finn secretly hands her a pencil, something that was considered a luxury in the Ark. He doesn't tell her where he found it, but Clark is too distracted to care. Monty is still working on trying to communicate with the Ark using the wristbands. Clark helps him by offering hers since it is still working. Abby panics when her daughter's band also stops working. She still hopes that things are stable, and the band stopped working because of a malfunction. In the camp, everyone is working hard to build a safe community. They are almost done building walls and are actively searching for food. Murphy orders everyone around ruthlessly. He even pees on a thirsty guy, refusing to let him drink water if he doesn't work. Meanwhile, Octavia is helping Jasper to walk again. He is paranoid about walking outside of the wall, traumatized by what happened the last time. Suddenly, he trips and notices cut off fingers on the ground. The duo knows they belong to Wells since his fingers were missing when they recovered the body last night. They immediately bring the fingers and the knife they found to Bellamy. Clark sees that the knife has Murphy's initials on it and assumes it was him who killed Wells. Bellamy wants to let the incident go because it will cause dispute in the community, but Clark is adamant. She cannot live while Wells' killer gets away with murder. She storms outside and calls Murphy out in front of everyone. He retaliates, but the initials on the knife are enough to prove him guilty. The other people in the camp are already mad at him, and this gives them the opportunity to take out their anger. They attack Murphy out of the blue, preaching about law and order. He is beaten to the ground even when both Finn and Clark try to stop the people. They hang him to a tree, ready to execute him. In the end, the decision is in Bellamy's hands. Since he wants the people's support, he is ready to do what they say. When Murphy is seconds away from death, Charlotte admits that it was her who killed Wells. Murphy is saved, but even though Charlotte is the culprit, no one wants to kill her. Since the law should be the same for everyone, Murphy insists they kill Charlotte like how they were about to kill him. Bellamy stands against it, alongside Clark and Finn. They take a vote, and most people favor Charlotte being pardoned. However, Murphy is not ready to accept defeat. He hits Bellamy and runs into the room where Charlotte is, only to find out she has run away with Clark and Finn. On the Ark, Abby has managed to keep Raven hidden. She is working hard to repair the escape pod, which will be completed in a few days. But they need a new pressure regulator to make sure they reach the Earth safely. Raven goes to an illegal supply named Nigel. The woman refuses to do anything illegal until she knows what it is for. She also insults Raven's mother, which ends in an altercation, and thus Raven never gets the pressure regulator. She goes to Abby's clinic and tells her everything. Abby also happens to know Nigel and knows how to get things out of her. A queue of people has gathered outside the clinic, complaining about blinded visions, fatigue, and many more symptoms caused by scarcity of oxygen. If this goes on, many people will die. In the following month, Abby goes to Nigel and hands her a packet of expensive medicine in turn for the pressure regulator. They make a deal, but it is clear that Nigel is planning to betray her. In the woods, Clark, Charlotte, and Finn are still running away from people who want to kill the little girl. Finn brings them to an underground bunker that he found last night. It was made by the Earthers when they were at risk of being attacked, but it seems like the owners never made it to the bunker in the time of emergency. Charlotte falls asleep while Clark and Finn talk about what they should do next. Clark hates the girl for killing her friend but still wants to save her because they do not get to choose who lives and who dies. A while later, Finn and Clark wake up to see Charlotte missing. She is somewhere in the woods, driven by the guilt of causing a death and so many conflicts. She wants to return to Murphy and let him take her life. However, Bellamy finds her first and stops her. On Ark, Abby brings the pressure regulator to Raven and asks her to build the pod as soon as she can. Somewhere else, Nigel meets Kane and tells him about her recent meeting with Abby. She even shows him the medicine that Abby traded the pressure regulator with. She does so to get Kane off her back for everything illegal she has done. Meanwhile, Abby is with Raven 20 minutes away from completing the repair of the pod. She gets a call from her lab friend who informs her that Kane is on his way to arrest them both. The girls panic because they only have 5 minutes before they are caught. Abby makes Raven hide and comes into Kane's view herself. Down on Earth, Murphy and the group find the little girl at the same time Clark finds her. Murphy is hungry for blood, but the others stop him. Bellamy does his best as the leader, but Murphy doesn't listen. In the end, Charlotte jumps off a nearby cliff to keep anyone else from getting hurt. Bellamy, who thought of her as his sister, is in shock. He launches at Murphy, wanting to kill him, but is stopped by Clark yet again. She claims that banishing him would be a better option. The group agrees, and even the guys who were with Murphy till now return to the camp, leaving him alone in the woods. Raven is alone, hurriedly fixing the pressure regulator when she discovers that they were given a faulty one. As the last option, she wears a spacesuit and gets ready to launch alone without proper pressure regulation. Outside, Kane catches Abby and asks her why is going against the council. She says she is doing it for her daughter and everyone in the Ark before eventually being arrested. At the same time, Raven launches to the Earth so the security will never catch her. Abby hopes that she will get a signal back from Raven in a few hours, but Kane asks her to stop with all the unrealistic assumptions. Monty uses every working wristbands for the last time to send a signal to the Ark. Suddenly, all of them fry and are destroyed. The Ark further loses all forms of communication with the 100. Jasper calls himself cursed because he was the one who pressed the last button. Octavia consoles him that it is not his fault. Their conversation ends in a kiss. Finn also loses his mind at the thought of them never getting to meet their loved ones. He starts destroying things until Clark stops him. This further leads them to make out in the bunker. The following day, the Chancellor visits Abby in the prison and shows her the environmental numbers of the Ark. It turns out that the level of oxygen is going down faster than it was predicted, which means they will have to eliminate at least 300 people today for the others to survive. The Council has already approved the population reduction plan. Later that day, 300 random citizens will be sent to Sector 17 and killed by discontinuation of oxygen supply to the chamber. Abby is made to take care of the growing sick people in the mid-bay. Somewhere else, Finn and Clark are outside the bunker when they notice the pod falling on Earth. They register that someone has been sent for their help and immediately start looking for the fallen pod. At the same time, Bellamy also sees this and makes it his mission to stop any kind of info from being sent to the Ark. He doesn't want people to convict him of murdering the Chancellor. Hence, he keeps everyone at the camp and secretly goes looking for the pod. On Ark, Abby meets a little girl named Dries whose one eye is blinding because of oxygen scarcity. Her father is desperate to do anything it takes to help his daughter, but Abby knows there is nothing they can do at this point in time. Octavia finds her brother on his way to look for the pod and stops him. He reveals that he shot the Chancellor at someone's order because he was offered a chance to meet her again. Shocked, Octavia tells him he didn't have to do all that, but Bellamy says he did everything for her. The siblings separate as Bellamy goes to the pod while Octavia returns to the camp. Then, we see the Chancellor ask Kane to be the next Chancellor because he is planning to join the citizens in Sector 17. He cannot make people sacrifice their life without doing it himself as well. Kane isn't fond of the idea, but the Chancellor is adamant. Bellamy finally finds Raven in her pod with a working radio inside. Before anyone sends the signal back, he throws it into the water and manages to destroy it. After that, Clark and Finn find Raven. She reunites with Finn, revealing that they are a couple. A shocked Clark can do nothing but offer help for Raven's injury. Raven tells them everything about what is happening on the Ark right now. They search for the radio but discover that it has already been stolen. Somewhere else in the woods, Octavia hears someone following her and panics. While trying to run away, she falls down a cliff and passes out. When Abby finds out about the Chancellor's decision to join the execution, she is shocked. She tries to convince him otherwise, knowing that Kane cannot be a good leader because he lacks compassion. As the last attempt to stop the mass execution, she brings out a video that Jake shot right before his death. In the video, he has explained everything about the current situation and urged the people to come together to solve the problem. Clark finally finds Bellamy and tells him that 300 people are going to die if he doesn't return the radio. He feels bad but knows that there is no going back now. When Raven meets him, she immediately recognizes him as the guy who shot the Chancellor. She also reveals that the Chancellor isn't dead, which means he still has a chance at a normal life. Bellamy agrees to help and tells them where the radio is. They look through the river and find it in an instant, but the radio is broken beyond repair. In the meantime, Abby broadcasts Jake's video all over the Ark. People find out about the oxygen depletion and the plan of mass execution. In a few minutes, a crowd gathers outside the headquarters. The Chancellor is disappointed in Abby for making such a huge mistake, but she doesn't show an ounce of regret. The people outside send someone in to talk to the council on their behalf. The man is Reese's father, who Abby met earlier that day. To their surprise, he is ready to volunteer as one of the 300 people who are to be executed. He wants his daughter to survive at any cost and is ready to sacrifice his life for her. Similarly, several other people follow his lead, volunteering to sacrifice themselves for humanity. The Chancellor and Kane are shocked. They realize that Jake was right all along. Hard times bring out the good in the people of the Ark. On the ground, people are building a torch under Raven's leadership. It is supposed to fly to space and alert the council, but they have to be quick since the execution is only hours away. With time, several people volunteer to be a part of the 300. The council had to reject almost 100 people because they were essential personnel and minors. The Chancellor and Kane both regret their decision to float their friend Jake. The Chancellor still wants to be a part of the 300, but Kane convinces him otherwise. He knows that the Chancellor must be alive in order for the people to still have hope. The 300 say goodbye to the people they love and get inside the chamber. Soon, the oxygen supply is stopped and they die a painless death in a few minutes. The Chancellor refrains from joining them because of his sense of duty. Simultaneously, the group on the ground launches the torches but is too late. Octavia suddenly wakes up in the middle of the night and finds herself in the woods. Suddenly, a huge man appears in front of her. Meanwhile, Abby and the guards clean at the bodies of the people who sacrificed themselves. Later, Abby is in her room mourning the deaths that happened today. She is joined by the Chancellor, who is just as regretful. In the last scene, they look up at the Earth and see the signals sent by the 100. Thank you for watching. Why don't you consider subscribing while you're here? We have the best recaps around and would love to have you part of our community. Thank you and see you in the next one.